OU announced that they have a new football recruiting structure, specifically Curtis Lofton as a general manager, similar to Courtney Morgan at Alabama. What inspired this structure change, and how do you feel like it'll give you an edge in SEC recruiting?
Yeah, and I really look at it as, you know, an opportunity to, I'm focused on our locker room. And, you know, what I have an appreciation for is our leadership from our athletic administration. Again, Joe Harris and Joe Castiglione, for their forward thinking, for their ambition, looking ahead to where things are moving. And, you know, it's constantly changing, evolving. So we've set up our systems in such a way that allows us to be flexible, to be able to pivot when we need to. Things haven't really landed in a hard space yet, but this allows us the agility to be able to manage wherever it does land. And at the end of the day, it's recruiting. There's a professional way to look at it. In some ways, we're like the NFL. In many ways, we're not. You know, we don't get to draft. You know, we don't have multi-year contracts. And so things are in some ways the same, but in many ways not. This gives us a way in the collegiate model to hopefully put us in a position of strength when it comes to not only resources, but most importantly, with our systems in place. And at the end of the day, it's all about helping the players be successful as we build the strongest roster that we can. And so from, you know, player evaluation to player acquisition to player retention, that's really the focus. That sounds like a recruiting staff to me, but there is a piece of it in Jake, Rosenthal and his organization. Partnering with them is going to allow us to manage some really choppy waters. And I say choppy only because we haven't been there before. From a potential salary cap of some sort, when this does all land, there'll be some sort of a salary cap. And so, you know, we'll be able to, you know, tap into their expertise and their skill set to help us be on the front end and the cutting edge, if you will, of that space.
With Ted Roof going to UCF and Jeff Lebby, as mentioned, going to Mississippi State, can you talk a little bit about Zac Alley as your defensive coordinator hire that you handled this winter, and Seth Littrell and Joe Finley taking over as co-OCs?
Yeah, so I know there are coordinator changes, and going into the SEC with coordinator changes. On paper, that sounds really daunting, and in some ways maybe it is, but our relationships go back a long time. Obviously, Joe John and Seth were already internally at Oklahoma, known both of those coaches. Joe John, since he was 17 years old, recruited him from Arlington High School, played for his daddy, Mickey Finley. And in Seth, you know, he was a sophomore captain, football player for us on our national championship team. And we've all kind of grown up in this profession together. So I've had a different type of lens when it comes to those two young coaches, incredibly skilled, both of them, tremendous instincts for the game, great toughness that our players will benefit from. They understand ball, they understand a locker room, they understand what competitiveness looks like, and they understand what it means to be a great teammate and to bring out the best in people. So these are leaders of leaders. What they were as players, they have the same skill set and talents as coaches. So really excited about transitioning and continuing to move forward as an offense with those two guys in charge, along with the rest of our staff on offense. You know, Bill Beedenbow, Coach Jones, Coach Murray, the rest of our support staff, fantastic group of men, really talented. And then Zac, you know, he's got a unique story. You know, Zac he came directly to Clemson and jumped into coaching as a freshman at Clemson. His dad played at Clemson. His brother was a baseball player, played at Furman, and comes from Zac was an outstanding player himself. He just chose not to go the walk-on route or the FCS route as a scholarship player. and chose to chase his dream as a young person. Incredibly bright, always forward thinking, always has the players in mind when it comes to learning and being able to play fast and aggressive. But has tremendous innovation in his skills. But he's a fundamentalist. He's demanding. He knows what excellence looks like, and he's has blended well with the rest of our staff, who, again, most of them he had previous relationships as well. So it's been a fine oiled machine, if you will, up to this point.